I've never seen that film before.
Haven't you?
No.
Have you watched it?
I've watched it now. Boss.
Had you been living?
Do you like
under
it?
A fucking stone.
What do you think of that as a film?
Boss.
Yeah, Boss. I've yet to come across a shit Robin Williams.
By picking my coffee up.
Said the Nutrition Kitchen on it. Used to be my old company. That I designed that cup years ago. How would you like that to start the podcast now?
It'd be all right, but we're not in Vietnam.
I know. So it's good morning, world. Good morning, UK. Good morning to good afternoon to everyone watching on the podcast. It is podcast 205. It's another Garden Culture magazine review, going through all of the articles to go through some discussion points and see what people have been writing for this edition of Garden Culture. First off, before we do the partners, and while everyone's listening and still interested, there's the Garden Culture survey. Eric has asked me to ask you, all shops that want to take part, to get in touch with Eric at gardenculturemagazine.com. He'll be picking random shops. So if you definitely want your say, email him and you can have your say. A few people last year were saying, well, he's just picked the shops and this and that, and he did it randomly. So if you want to be picked and you want to be asked the questions and you want to get your points across, get in touch with him and he will do the survey with you. Otherwise, he'll just be randomly interviewing UK shops. So we'll get to see what the UK thinks in 2020 about the best products, the worst products, systems that they're using, best-selling products, all that kind of stuff. And it was a big hit last time. We did, I think it was podcast. Was it podcast 100? When we did the award show. Podcast 100 or maybe 150. We did 100. The award. I can't remember which one it was now. We did the award show and it went down a storm. So we'll be doing that again. And so that's the Garden Culture survey. Get in touch with them as soon as you can. First of all, Barry, time to get involved. Time to talk about the partners. Who have you got on your list this week?
CANNA.
What are we are promoting for CANNA their bio range. Their organic range, yeah. Well, we're promoting all parts of CANNA, but they're doing a big push for their organic range because it's good quality and not enough people shout about it. So you organic growers out there, anyone want to dabble in organics, get involved with CANNA. You will not go wrong with them. Next up, we have SANlight LED. They've got the Generation 2 LEDs just come out. Barry's been playing with the dimmer. Very impressed with the dimming feature, aren't you?
Good.
Sunrise, sunset feature.
Yeah,
just learned about that the other day. On that point of sunrise, sunset, what do you think?
You always do this. We're doing the sponsors and then you go off on one.
All right. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Come on.
Well, okay,
SANlight in a minute.
LEDs, Generation 2, phenomenal. They're going to take some beating in 2020. And very proud to have them on as a partner. So follow. Actually, they've just got a new YouTube channel. So go and follow them on YouTube. Yeah. SANlight. They're starting to put all the German, all the different languages. Follow them on YouTube because they're going to start putting out some really good quality informational videos.
Good man. Who should we do next? We'll do Erwin the German.
Erwin.
We just call him Erwin the German.
He's been over in all the UK for the last 2 weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's been visiting shops, taking names and kicking asses. They have got the new product. We talked about it last week. Well worth a look. It's for dimming Isomachs.
Do you know what it's called?
I've forgotten already. Do
you? The
Satellite. There we go.
Come on, mate.
The Satellite. Ask them why they called it that. It's basically just a translation. It means something really good in Dutch and translates to satellite in English. It's like, I don't know. Satellite, it is what it is. We have AutoPot watering systems soon to launch there. 5mm valve. Very, very...
Isn't it launched?
Well, there's some videos coming out soon for it. Yeah, I think it'll be launched around Spanibus time. Available. It's in production.
Oh, don't talk about Spanibus.
Oh, we'll get onto the Spanibus in a minute. So that's AutoPot watering systems. They have just released all of their instructional videos onto AutoPot. Check them out. Yours truly did the videos. There's about 15 videos telling you how to use every single system. Go and check them out. They're really good videos, and I would say that though because we did them. So go and see them. Follow AutoPot watering systems on YouTube.
And last Revolution.
last but not least, Revolution
I've just
Diva
seen
Micro Electronics
something.
with their Avicii HPS.
Have you just done that? I've just said I've just seen something. That it?
With the Diva HPS, I should say, and their ceramic metal halide light.
And they've actually got a new LED out.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. There.
It is the Avicii, but not available in the UK as of yet.
Why?
God knows.
1150 watt.
It's bright. I've held one. It's very bright, and we put our hand underneath it. It was very warm. It means brilliant test.
Full customable spectrum.
Mm-hmm. That's what a few people are doing now. Customizable spectrums, aren't they?
It's all right for the people who know the spectrums, but for people who don't, mate, you could ruin everything.
You could fuck it up. We had Icon in the. We had the Paul from Icon and Chris, and they were showing us their new LED. My brain's gone dead today. Can't remember the name of it, but it's like a 4-module LED.
Drone.
Looks like a drone, and it's fully customizable. But when you buy it, you can then upload your spectrums at the end of your grow to the internet and say, I grew this, it looked like this, got this result, and then you can pull down people's spectrums, upload it to your LED. And if you're growing the same tomato or cucumber or pepper as somebody else, and you got a boss result, you can download their spectrum and see how it applies to your plant. So good. It's expensive. Yeah. Don't think. I think it's probably out the price range of a lot of people. But for people who love your micro testers and the people who are at the forefront of LED growing, definitely worth considering, because it's fully customizable and a really good bright LED. We've got Indica Head Shop with us. Health is Wealth. Afternoon. He saw the review on Micro. The Lumitech LED looks great. So I'm going to have to check that out, the Lumitech review on Micro, see what he's saying. So, Coatsy, intro goes here, and we'll come back with some highly contagious coronavirus.
All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. Oh, God, let everyone watching, the whole family.
Are you ready to go? Are you built to be in the house that I built in the house that I built?
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast. NPK.
Barry is terrified.
I'm not.
No, he's not. Barry is terrified of flying, and he's going to use this as an excuse to not go anywhere.
No, I haven't.
No.
Look, I haven't said I'm not going, mate, but fucking hell, I don't know. Just a load of shit, isn't it? Coronavirus.
Well, they've cancelled in Spain, there's 15 confirmed cases. They've cancelled a big telecommunications expo, and people are like, oh, it's all cancelled, everything's going to shit. They've cancelled it because like 3-4 of the big telecommunications pulled out, and it's because most telecommunication companies are based in China or have big ties to China. There was a lot of Chinese people going, so you just said, listen, it's not worth us travelling. And so when big sponsors pull out, the show goes to shit. I don't think Spanibus is like that. I don't think it will be as busy as it was last year. I think people will probably choose to stay at home. The coronavirus, for healthy adults, it's like the flu. It's shit, but you're not going to die from it. It's affecting people with weakened immune systems, old people, very young people. Doesn't scare me about getting it, but the scary shit is being quarantined for 2 weeks. That's what I don't want to fucking happen.
It's not that. Like, imagine you went to Barca and you go to the hotel, and then while you're there,
just get a little note through the door.
You get a note through the door saying, yeah, the fucking Guardia Civil surrounded the hotel. You're not going anywhere for a month. But then what's even worse is when you got released from there and you get on the plane and you come home.
Oh, yeah.
The police are waiting there with the coach, and you've got to go with them and get quarantined in Arrow Park Hospital for 2 weeks.
Do you know what the worst part of that is?
Fuck me, mate. It just took 6 weeks out of my life.
Yeah, do you know what really scares me? Being quarantined over the water for more than a few days.
I thought you were going to say we're due for 6 weeks.
Could you imagine if Josh got quarantined in a hotel and he like didn't have his laptop or didn't have his electronic devices?
Lad for anyone.
He would drop kick every member of security, go through the whole of the Spanish police, and get his electronic equipment to get back to his room and just Netflix and chill for 2 weeks.
What's being quarantined in Valencia?
Oh, I know what you're going to say. It was on the news,
wasn't it?
On the
news.
Oh.
There's a prostitute, what do they call them? A brothel.
Brass gaff.
A brass gaff. Knock and shop. But it's
Barry
to be posh.
Barry tried to
So
be
anyway,
like
there's a brass gaff in Valencia with 86 clients in it, and they've shut it down and said you aren't going anywhere for 2 weeks. You're all staying in there. How the fuck do you explain that to your wife? Where are you? Fucking hell, I'm
literally think of the excuse off the top of your head. Where are you? Oh, I've been quarantined there, love. Oh, that's what hotel are you in? Sexy ladies, fucking Costa del Sol. I've never heard of that before. Yeah, you won't. It's new. It's fucking new.
God.
She then fucking Google Maps, the big fucking grass Google Earth. Is this sexy ladies Costa del Sol?
That's heavy, that if it's true.
Yeah.
But it's all over the news.
And then she goes, that's not a hotel, mate. Oh, fucking hell.
Imagine that, lad.
And it's got beds and everything.
Going in there to dip your wick for 5 minutes. And then having to stay there 2 weeks.
People would be in there going, yeah, you wouldn't know whether to be fucking happy or shitting themselves.
You come out of there about 2 stone later and about 20 grand shower. They'd all be made up, the workers, wouldn't they? Like that, yeah, we've got these, lad.
Anyway, coronavirus, fucking hell. See, now just to sort of wrap it up and hopefully make people feel a little bit better, I have got a background in public health, and it was nutrition.
Public health. Better. Have you got a vaccine?
No, I haven't.
Sure, let's move on then.
Eat more milky buttons, you. Listen, you know when the World Health Organization and the news tries to go, everything's fine, you're all okay. Not. It's time to be a bit worried, which is what it was like at the beginning. Like, don't worry, we've got it sorted, we're okay.
We've got sorted, but it's only just gone and spread to every country.
Yeah.
The only place it's not
is Antarctica.
Yeah.
And,
but it's under control, don't worry.
The media, though, and the World Health Organization are like, it's a bit serious now. Fucking stay in, cover your mouth, blah, blah, blah. That makes me feel better because I'm like, well, if they're saying it's serious, then it's like they've got it under control. It's the weird way that they work. They try and make people feel better.
They haven't got it under control, though, have they?
To be fair.
There was one case in Barcelona about a day and a half ago.
Yeah.
And I think up to now there's 33 cases.
15 confirmed cases in Spain.
Yeah, and what they say is there's 15 confirmed cases.
Yeah, you've got to wait 2 weeks.
When you get the virus, you can spread it straight away, but it doesn't show for 2 weeks. So if there's 15 confirmed cases, let's just say every one of them people is give it to 5 people.
Yeah.
And then them 5 people, 15 people who have given it to another 5 people each.
It only has to happen 17 times. It's 1 million people infected. There you go. We'll finish on that bombshell. It's a law of doubling. You do 1 + 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 8.
15.
When you do that 17 times, you're on 1 million.
Nah, it's not 17 times.
Trust me.
It's not.
Trust me. Listen, we will get into the garden culture.
I'm sure it's 21.
I thought it was, but it's not. So if you do 1 times 1 equals 1, times 2 equals 2, times 2, so that's 3.
4.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This is really boring for people on podcast. 17. Oh, fair enough. 18, 19, 20, 21. It is 21.
Told you.
Well done.
Lad, you can't play
21.
Games what 7-year-olds play. What's it called? Can't add up. And you're trying to put everyone at ease saying you're a fucking public health and nutritionist.
And then told them all that within 21 people, 1 million people will be infected. So I hope you all feel better after that. Forza King Go Pure good too. Matt Addison said, is that why you haven't been on the shop floor for ages, Steve?
Yeah, he's bad.
Yeah.
He's bad.
So,
he pays them when they
let's get into the podcast because I don't want another person accusing us of waffling shit like they did last week. Author Spotlight, first page, Callie Seaman. She started at Vitalink, one of them nutrient manufacturers at Vitalink. She's now working with Shogun. She's got degrees in hydroponic nutrient fertilizers, and she's a massive part of leading the fight for women in cannabis and breaking down stigmas associated with cannabis. Big part of the UK movement. Very proud to have it in the UK. And I know Eric's made up to have a writing for garden culture, and just good to see people in the UK actually standing up and fighting for something. So big shout out to Callie.
Yeah, man.
Editor's pick. I'm going to let you talk about that because it's one of your favourite pieces of kit. The Air Comfort.
Highlight Horticulture supply it. It is a boss piece of kit. If you haven't got one, you should have one. It's Bluetooth, reads your temperature, humidity down to the second. It lasts on your mobile phone if you link it to Bluetooth. I think it stores data for up to 100 days. It's got, what's that data?
Data logger.
Data logger, 2,430 settings. Fucking hell.
You just getting involved in the article, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, you can do like every
10 meter field range. Well, fucking battery lasts a year. There's 3 cycles.
Every minute or every 5 minutes, you can get a data point of your temperature, humidity, log it on the graph so you can see exactly how long your hot temperatures were before.
So, you know, when someone's putting heating on, you say, I haven't put heating on. You say, yeah, I've looked, put it on then. And that's when you get home from work.
Yeah, Barry loves catching people out, so he loves the Air Comfort. Yeah. He loves his tools of evidence.
I'm a sucker, mate. Nothing gets past me, lad.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Why are you a sucker? What? You just said, I'm a sucker. Nothing gets past me.
Nothing gets past me, lad.
All right, like a Hoover.
Meaning, like, I'm bad. I feel bad sometimes to catch that many people out.
So, next article. The first article in the magazine was by Catherine Sheriffs. Get more frogs into the garden. So, it's quite, this week's a little bit heavy on the outdoor side of stuff, and we will get through the discussion points. But my mum's garden used to have hundreds of frogs in there, and she used to have a boss garden. Never used to have to spray any chemicals on there, no slugs, no beetles, no nothing. It was great. So Catherine Sheridan is about getting more frogs into the garden, natural pesticides. If you're organic gardeners, she talks about how to get your ponds, how to make them, put them on angles. Don't use fountains like still water. Good article for people that like growing outdoors and trying to include getting frogs in on the action. So give it a read. Florian Henrich, I think I'll need the magazine back for this one because it's plant superfoods and it's a good article, and I've highlighted some bits rather than going for it. So frog friendly gardens was Catherine Sheriff's. Then we had another one by Catherine saying hello houseplants, but that was boring. So we moved on to Florian Henrich.
I'd be a fucking houseplants to keep.
Yeah, I hate them.
That's a nightmare.
But to be fair, she's like talking about succulents and the fact that they're easy to take care of. So.
Oh, they're fucking not.
Oh, listen, my mum underwater the cactus. How do you underwater a cactus? I gave it to her and said, just what? No, I'm okay. How do you underwater a cactus? And she managed to kill a cactus by not giving it any water. The only woman in history to do that. So Florian Henrich did Superfood for Plants, and the article is basically talking about humans have superfoods. I want to get your opinions on some of this, Barry. So superfoods for humans are your quinoa. So superfoods should, that's
when
what
you
he
say
says.
Superfoods, you mean like what they are, like carbs, proteins, or you're talking about food?
Like food. So what he was saying is what you've just said is protein, carbohydrates, and fats. They should be the superfood because that's what your body needs. But it's not. It's talking about how. So when you take vitamin C, if an orange has 30 milligrams of vitamin C, some other product that's a superfood will have 300 milligrams of vitamin C. It's a super dense,
is it
super
better
rich.
Than like 1,000 milligram vitamin C tablet.
No, you love them vitamin C tablets. Look how much energy and happy you are after I've sorted you out with your supplements. You're just a much better person, aren't you?
Yeah, man.
I mean, look at your car. Since you've been taking supplements, look how much work's been done on that car. You've got me to thank. So, superfoods is things like your quinoa, your blueberries. Everyone's heard of it. It's become a marketing term in the food world. One of the things that he doesn't talk about that I wanted to mention to you and make people aware of is if you are a superfooder, if you love eating your blueberries and your quinoa and whatever's trendy at the time, did you know that Mexican farmers who farm the quinoa, when it becomes that trendy for the Western world to start eating it, it becomes that expensive that they can't actually the food that they grow, they can't afford to eat it themselves.
Yeah.
So
I watched a program, and it's called, what the fuck is it called? It's on Netflix. It's a series about like fruit and veg and where they're grown and all that. And do you know, see the way we get avocados all year round?
Yeah.
But we didn't. Don't quote me on it all. I might be wrong on certain things because I can't remember. But go on Netflix, I can't even remember. Rotten. It was.
Yeah, rotten.
And do you know that like people are dying every other day over avocados, getting shot, burnt out, cars exploded because it grows somewhere near Mexico, like off a border of Mexico somewhere, not in Mexico, the other side of Mexico, because they had the light and that's where it was always grown, but it was only grown for 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
Mexico got onto that, it was all right, and they could grow it for 12 months.
Yeah.
So when they, or it might have been the other way around, Mexico was growing it for 6 months. That's where it was.
Just heard Josh moan.
Josh! Is he on it?
No, just heard Josh go.
Are you on it? What
We
I'm
just
talking
heard
about?
you just go.
Usually when I'm drunk, you go,
Okay.
mate.
So
Well,
Mexico
anyway,
growing the avocados.
And then the other countries that, whichever one it was, Mexico, the one that's bordered to Mexico, whichever one it was, they started doing it and brought the price of it right down, and them other people who were doing it for 6 months of the year and they relied on it just went to war with each other, mate. There was like killings every day and over avocado, because we're here just eating bacon and avocado, egg on toast and a bit of salmon and avocado, and people are getting made for
Listen,
it.
you don't even realise the repercussions of what you do in like the Western world.
I take it for granted.
Yeah. So quinoa was the biggest one.
I mean, avocado.
The impact and repercussions of what you buy as just all over the world. People can't afford the food that they're growing then because we're buying so much of it. But he talks about superfood for plants. So this is interesting to me because everyone wants to sort of take the growing to the next level. And they do that they think they do that by adding more and more nutrition. So they'll take your CANNA A and B and boost NPK, but then they might want to add bits to it. So they'll be adding silica. That's a good thing to do. But then they'll add another PK and another bit of a booster and this and that. And at the end of the day, it's salty water. You can absolutely overdo it. But what superfood for plants is that Florian's talking about is things that are mostly found in organics. So I've highlighted some bits that I want to pull out of the article. He says these approaches are largely ignored in conventional agriculture. Nutrient salts are poured over the root ball of the plants to increase yields. For example, stinging nettle manure is denied any effect because it contains hardly any nutrients. And I highlighted it because I'm like, hang on, stinging nettle manure, that's my fucking shit. I did that on day one when we opened up the shop. I was reading organic books and we brewed nettle tea. And we sold it in the shop. We originally gave it out for free, and then just to say have a little go with that, and people coming back for it, going, listen, it stinks like you've never smelt anything worse in your life, but I need it. It's like I haven't got any more, so we brewed it up again and sold it for like £10 for a litre, and people were loving it. It's absolutely phenomenal, but it's got no NPK value. It's silica. It's when I say it's got no NPK value, it's rich in nitrogen, but it's organic sources. It's rich in silicates, enzymes, bacteria, and promotes soil promotes soil life. So there's other superfoods like that. The first one is Ascophyllum nodosum, or it's called brown knotweed, common in North Atlantic. It's got trace elements, cytokine, and phytohormones that stimulate cell division, which is called cytokinesis of plants, and regulates the aging process. And in 2011, it was shown that the increased cytokine level leads to an abundance of large flowers and fruits. So this leads to what we were talking about last week when we were talking about top products. You've got your £20 1 litre Regeneroot. Great, it works really well. But there's Ascophyllum nodosum is in House and Garden Root Accelerator. It's in Rhizoblast. I think there's a form of it. There's a form of seaweed in CANNA Boost. So what the message we're trying to get across is, if you are looking on increasing the quality, the flavour, the yield of your crops, then don't necessarily think about adding more PKs and this and that. Yeah. Root stems can actually do it. So choose, when you're thinking to yourself, that £120 root stem for a litre, that's a bit batty, I'm going to buy the cheap one. there's so much that these root stems offer, or products with ascophyllum nodosum, which is the brown algae, to your plants, that it can be worth actually spending a little bit and getting the better quality products. It says ascophyllum is an excellent supplier of alginic acid, and this interested me because alginic acid gels with calcium to form calcium alginate. Increases water retention capacity of soil cocoa and promotes root formation. But you know why it's interesting? Because I came across it 3 years ago. Barry!
I could fall asleep listening to you,
Well, listen, you don't want to know how to increase yields in plants. Your tomatoes are already thriving.
Man.
But you've got me to secretly add ascophyllum nodosum when you're not looking. That's why you do really well. But one of our friends, mutual friends, gave me some calcium alginate and said this is going to be a big product in the future. I can make it up for you. You mix it with your cocoa. It won't overwater your plants because it becomes like a gel substance and promotes reformation because it's because of the hormones in it. So calcium alginate. If any nutrient manufacturers want to get in touch with me, get in touch because that's a good product. Next one is alfalfa. Alfalfa's in CANNA Boost as well. Yeah. It's when we were testing years ago, we go through phases of testing products. One of the first ones because it's one of the most expensive, one of the most sought after products in our industry. Yeah. I tested CANNA Boost and I found tricantanol in there. And when I went to them and said, listen, I've found tricantanol. It's not that it's a bad thing, but it was, you'd assume it's put in there synthetically. So if I found tricantanol, why are you putting that in? What's the benefits? I still don't understand. And he said, well, it's a natural form. We put alfalfa in there. And one of the natural side effects of alfalfa is that it produces tricantanol. Alfalfa is called snail clover, lucerne, and it owes its name to its fruiting bodies whose shape is reminiscent of a snail shell. Important but hardly noticed feature of the plant is its content of phytohormone tricantanol, and the phytohormone accelerates cell division, leads to stronger growth of roots, shoots, and flowers, and especially when used as a foliar spray. If you use alfalfa and ascophyllum nodosum at the same time, plants increase the availability of phytohormones like an athlete to steroids. Well, more power. So combining these, you're not increasing the salt content in your plants, so you're not affecting the EC. But these different superfoods for plants are having a massive impact on how well your plant works, which is starting to why people keep on going back to CANNA Boost. It's because Boost has got a lot of these products in there. For organic gardeners, this one I've never come across before. It's called bentonite. It's a silicate. Bentonite is a valuable tool in organic farming. Essentially, it is silica, but in its natural form. So soil microorganisms will break it down and allow the plant to take it up as orthosilicic acid because they'll convert it from the hard to uptake silicates to ortho, and then the plant's rapidly taken up. It's classed as organic. So if you're an organic grower, bentonite silicates are how you want to increase the strength and durability of your plant. Another one that I liked here, earthworm humus. What do you think that means? Because I didn't realise that's what it meant.
Earthworm humus?
Yeah.
Soil?
Yeah, so it is soil, but I just thought it was, I don't really know what I thought it was. And I read the article, I was like, oh, okay. So plants love earthworm humus. A few tablespoons of the stuff can work wonders. Earthworm humus, like vermicompost, has become increasingly popular, and not without reason. It's the highest quality compost of all and more fertile than all other humus species. The secret of earthworm humus begins in the digestive tract of earthworms. The worms eat your organic substance that you feed it, which have been decomposed by fungi and bacteria, grinded in their intestines and excreted again. So vermicompost contains all the useful fungi and bacteria enriched with enzymes such as phosphatase and cellulase. And these enzymes help plants release nutrients from the soil and break cellulose into carbohydrates. So essentially, earthworm humus is good quality soil that's been through the digestive tract of a worm, pooped out.
So it's worm shit.
Worm shit, yeah. And it's just full of all kinds of good earth. Soil.
No, before the worm
wormy shit, yeah.
Was it good?
Yeah.
Why can't we get it beforehand then?
Because it's even better afterwards. And that's what he says at the end there. If you ask yourself now what happens when you feed your earthworms with superfood, then it's high time for your worm farm. So if you put really good shit into your worm farm, then how much better is that going to become once it's been through the worm's digestive tract? I know people who grow indoors in cocoa who've thrown worms in the cocoa. They feed it. They were feeding with like mineral nutrients and heard about vermicompost. Just went and collected worms from outside and put them on top of the cocoa and came in like all made up with themselves. It's like, it doesn't quite work like that, mate. I don't think you're going to see the benefit. And then one of the last ones is leonardite. Every fertilizer manufacturer has leonardite in the form of humic and fulvic acids in its range. If you're looking to improve your nutrient range, humic and fulvic's byproduct that's got these in because they really do help with the uptake of nutrients. The use of leonardite intensifies plant and root growth by promoting the metabolism of plants and accelerates cell division, and also helps promote photosynthesis by stimulating chlorophyll production. And it's made when organic matter is exposed to high pressure under exclusion of air for millions of years. So we can fucking run out, which will be the next big problem. You're enjoying this, Barry. Last one.
That piece then. Wow. Oh, it's fantastic.
Last one, animal meal. Good things, plants don't have noses because these are smelly. Horn shavings, fish bone, blood meal, guaranteed success for organic farmers. Plants love the raw materials because they're readily available nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, but there's people have got problems with them because it's made out of animal and it smells. But not good for vegan or vegetarian growers, but it's good for your organic growing. So if you want to improve your nutrient regime, if you are an organic grower or you're a mineral grower that wants to push yourself to the next level, then these superfoods really help. Seaweed, Ascophyllum nodosum, alfalfa, bentonite is really for your proper organic growers. Earthworm humus or humus is for your organic growers. Don't be throwing that into your CANNA and B and your cocoa. Leonardite, humic and fulvic acids, and then animal meal is really for your organic growers as well. So good article by Florian. I enjoyed reading that one, and it was good. Next one is exploring cannabis cultivation around the globe. This was Tom Forrest. I'm going to tell you to all go and check out his YouTube channel, which
he's all right, him, though, you know.
What?
He's all right.
Did you enjoy it?
I've watched like little bits on him and that. He's all right. He's not like full
so
of shit or
for everyone else, if that's all right for Barry, if Barry thinks it's all right, then you'll probably really enjoy it because that's like high praise from Barry saying it's all right. The only time he goes above that's when he's watching the rally and he's like, it's fucking sick. It's the only time you'll get a fucking sick out of Barry. But it's good. So he goes around Vancouver in Canada. He goes to, what was the farm there called? Aurora. If you don't know about Aurora, it's the most technically sophisticated cannabis farms in the world. Like, it's phenomenal. And he shows it all on the YouTube channel. If you type in Tom Forrest cannabis cultivation, then it'll come up on there. He's a dude, got dreadlocks and a beard. So if you spot him,
shame.
Then it's a good video. So he goes to Vancouver, checks out Aurora. He looks at the cannabis industry around the world, like Italy. They have frustrations over the legal market and the problems that they're having with it. He meets world-renowned geneticist Giampaolo Grassi. Unfortunate surname, really, but there you go. Slovenia, innovative spirit, but lack of resources. So he actually shows somebody built a harvester built with old machines from World War II. He goes to Israel, the country's cannabis sector, and they are at the forefront of medical cannabinoid research. So that was a good part. And he finishes up by saying the code of silence. So in the cannabis industry, a lot of people are still persecuted. In countries where it's legal, especially in countries where it's illegal, people are still persecuted for it. And there's probably a lot of information that people just don't share because they don't want people to know that's what they do. Yeah. So Code of Silence restricts everyone. Go and check it out. Tom, what to say his name? Tom Forrest, cannabis cultivation around the world. Very good. Catherine, she's done so many articles. Ancient farming techniques, the way of the future. So,
if they work back then, they'll work now.
Yeah, so this article, we're going to put it up for debate, Barry. I'm not going to read through it. It's a good article. It's about going back to traditional farming techniques to improve the soil. Some sort of facts that she's put in. Erosion, deforestation have taken their toll over the years, washing away 1/3 of the world's topsoil. Conventional agriculture grows crops of yield over quality, pumping artificial toxic chemicals into the ground along the way. Living soil is being destroyed and stripped of its nutrients. The International Federation of Organic Agriculture says that intensive farming costs us 30 soccer fields of soil every minute. It's a lot. That's like a heavy fact. Again. So the IFOA, the organic people, say that intensive farming costs us 30 soccer fields of soil every minute. So basically deplete the soil of all its nutrients and ability to grow crops.
Wow.
If soil degradation continues, the UN says that all the plant's topsoil will be gone by 2050, which means we'll all be growing in cocoa until that runs out. So if there's no topsoil, you're just not going to be able to grow the crops at the rate that you do now. She said, we depend on soil for life. It's a resource that we use to grow 95% of our food supply. Damaged soils have also been found to release CO2, further contributing to climate change. So why do we treat our dirt so poorly? And she's referenced it as well. It's a good article. So the thing for discussion and debate here is, in one part of the article, she says, like, what are we waiting for? We need to go back to traditional farming methods.
We can't.
Yeah, because they're traditional and they're ancient for a reason. I think there needs to be a middle ground where I don't think you can feed the world on organic farming. I think it's literally physically impossible.
You couldn't do it. Because
crop rotations, producing a yield, pests. So people have got a big problem with pesticides. Massive. They can affect bee populations or massive pollinators. It can affect human health. So a lot of people jump onto the high horse, and one of them included. But what if we didn't use pesticides?
Your crop would get to the end and you'd be fucked.
Oh yeah, you'd have a week to go. The beetles had come out of hibernation, just demolish your lettuces, your tomatoes, your cucumbers.
And you'd die before the fucking beetle would.
Yeah.
That's why we spray the food.
You'd have no food. So it'd be very interesting to see. It's like the Joker.
How many people had crushed the beetle or hanged themselves? It's one or the other.
Yeah. How long before, when the food was scarce and you were battling with people on the market, before you go, you know what, spray them with pesticides.
It's like, I need food.
Yeah. It's like the Joker. How long do people need to be pushed before they take on these morals that they stand on, when they've got a roof over their head, plenty of food, they're in a comfortable position, and they stand there shaking their fists going, you're doing this to our world. Sometimes there's reasons for why people do shit.
Then they get in the car and drive.
Yeah. Double standards. So you can't feed the world organically. It's impossible. I think Eric disagrees with me on that one.
We would, him.
But I have got scientific proof of what it would take to feed the world organically, and it's just, it can't be done. She also says, I think it's in this article, 45%, it might be further down, I might be jumping ahead of myself, but 45% of the food we produce is spoilt in transport, or the supermarkets don't buy it because it's ugly. Basically 45% of the food you produce just goes to waste. Maybe some goes to cattle feed. So when people turn around and say we can't produce enough food for the world, it's false. We produce more than enough food for the world. It's the distribution of the food that's fucked up. We can't save our food and we can't distribute it properly, and that's the problem. So we need to sort of hit a middle ground. If you continue to intensively farm the agricultural land, you are going to strip it of everything. We will eventually run out of soil to be able to farm on, and we're going to have the same problem as if we tried to farm organically. But if we have a mix of both, if we try and increase the amount of organics that we do, or traditional farming techniques where we put stuff back into the ground, we do crop rotations, we ease off in intensity, then we could find a nice happy medium. Again, I'm not going to get into it, but if everybody turned vegan, like the amount of food that you would have to grow is just ridiculous. The transport you'd have to do, like there's always repercussions. So we call it the void. So if you take something away from somebody, you'll know with your cigarettes.
Don't say that, mate. I'm trying to stop.
Exactly. And how hard is it? You are my guinea pig. When you try and stop something, it becomes a void in your life. You have to fill that void with something to be able to move forward and get over the addiction. And it works in when you're eating food as well. If you're trying to remove certain things from your diet, fatty foods, you have to they're going to be replaced with something. So people say, don't eat this. So people don't eat that. It's what you replace it with that becomes a problem. So when people say we need to farm organically all around the world and we need to all become vegans or vegetarians, there will be some knock-on effects of that. Massive knock-on effects. The meat market, who does that? Who did the money from they're in the meat industry? What does that actually do? I don't think people really look at both sides of the argument and assess it properly. Massive repercussions from everything that we do. But we do need to. I love the bacon.
Bacon is good for me.
What's that off?
Let's have some program.
So that's that article. Really good. Definitely worth to read if you want to have your eyes opened a little bit. But I would also research the other side of stuff as well. Next article is by Caroline Rivard. She talks about mugwort, magical and medicinal weed. There's lots of these in every edition. I've earmarked it because I needed to go back to it, but I didn't read it properly. But it will be a good article. I just haven't had the chance to read.
Earmarked it?
Yeah, earmarked it. Like that.
Oh, just bent the page?
Yeah.
Earmarked it. Earmarked
No,
that.
I would never earmark a book. I'd just about do it to magazines.
That's bad.
I'd never ever deface a book.
Earmarked it.
Josh, I think the live stream's gone.
Why?
It's doing this loopy circle stupid thing. So we'll see if you can fix that. The next article for people listening on podcasts, you never have problems with fucking internet and live streams. Barry's going to eat his caramel nibbles. Is it back on now, is it? Sounds. Next article is by Albert Mondor, Feeding Cities with Urban Farms. Sort of relates back to the last article. This is where the quote was. The FAO estimates 45% of all fruit and vegetables produced on the globe are lost or thrown away before they can be eaten, in part due to transportation, handling and storage. That's the biggest tragedy of it. 55% of the world's population lives in urban areas, and according to the United Nations, this proportion reached 68% in 2050. What this article, and I didn't read it fully in depth, but what this article talks about is growing your own. So if we can't extensively grow 100% organically, and if we're just going to fully strip the land of everything, the middle ground could be grown on top of our apartments or grown food in our houses. A lot of people, so we've got a shop, and the people that use us are growing crops for themselves. So it's lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, what's the other one? These when you grow a crop really small, micro veg. They become really popular in restaurants, full of flavour. And what Albert's saying in this article is Feeding Cities with Urban Farms is maybe it's time to take agriculture urban. And you see all the pictures.
There a restaurant in London now, and it has a full wall?
Yeah. Hydroponic vertical wall.
Yeah. And they do, the chefs come out and pick as when you need it. It's good, I like that.
I think it looks great as well. For the restaurant to have this fresh shit, and you can't get fresh and
all over
picked
the
it.
wall.
Yeah.
Boss.
So that's that. Answer a few questions. Indica Head Shop said, what is your opinion on fluctuating pH levels as certain nutrients available at specific pH levels? So 2 points here. One is, for that reason that different nutrients are available at different pH levels, you should set, whether you're in cocoa or hydro, should set your pH around 5.5 to 5.8. I'd set it in 5.5 in veg. You allow your pH to drift up. If it drifts up to 6.3, I wouldn't touch it. It's fine. If it starts drifting above 6.4, 6.5, it might be worth making a slight adjustment. But by then, it's worth you'd probably be refeeding again with your 5.5 and you're solving the issue anyway. What a lot of people don't know is that really, so one of the things you pay more money for, so your cheap nutrient ranges, you need to be on it with the pH. CANNA, they stabilize your pH for you with the base nutrients, so you don't need to do that too much. And then the expensive ones again is like your Mills, your Hydrotops, your Gold Labels. They do it. just learned a little bit about gold label recently, and this is how I know about this. They chelate, and so with metals, plants to uptake metals, you need to chelate. It means wrap it round in an organic molecule, and the chelation that they use is available in a wide range of pH. So it doesn't really matter for some nutrients whether it's 5.5 or 6.3. The plant can still take it up because they've spent the money on the higher quality chelation methods, the higher quality nutrients, or the variants of the nutrient salts that they use. So your pH can be a little bit off. And that is one of the reasons why certain nutrients people love a lot more, because they do the work for you. Yeah. So you can use cheap nutrients, and cheap nutrients, everyone knows Vitalink's cheaper. It must use cheaper quality ingredients because you couldn't use the really expensive salts and still sell for that price. But having said that, if you're on it with your pH, on it with your EC, you feed regularly, then you can get the results with the cheaper nutrients. It's just that the more expensive nutrients are foolproof in a way. They do it all for you. So that's one of the reasons why you'll want to potentially buy the higher grade nutrients, because it does it for you. So hopefully that answers your question in the Head Shop. BBKMRC said you can feed the world on the waste that's thrown away every day. Yeah, you could. Because
after shits.
Yeah.
You could, but that's just the problem at transit, isn't it?
If 45% of weight is wasted, then yeah, you'd be pretty close to feeding the world just on the waste that you produce.
But that just is the life cycle of the world. That shit's going to happen. Wagons with freezers are going to break down, and the shit in the back's going to go to waste. They're going to hit traffic jams on the motorway. Something happens, something else happens, and something else happens, and that's just, you've got to account for that, haven't you? Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure people wait until we're on podcast to harass me on the phone. They must wait till 4 o'clock.
I'm trying to think what else is like that where you'd over-order because you know what I mean? Like,
because you know how much is going to go to waste.
Yeah. Like loads of shops must do it, mustn't they?
Yeah.
Loads of just normal shops must do it. Go out and buy stuff, and then
supermarkets. How much food do you throw away because it's buy one get one free? You don't really need the second one, but
you buy it.
You buy it. Well, you get it because it's free.
But how much, like the Asda's, how much food must they throw away each week?
Have you ever been to Asda on a Sunday?
And the whoops.
Yeah. They are, wow. Like, I don't tend to do food shopping on a Sunday, but I was there a few weeks ago and I was astonished.
Battling for it. Listen, I went to the Morrisons, No, not Morrisons, Marks and Spencer's.
Yeah, of course you did.
And
I go to the Aldi.
Did they have like a cake rack? Like the freezer cake rack?
Yeah, of course you were there.
And I was just going past it with our baby. And there's this little old woman. And the woman's there with the trolley with the whoop stickers on it and all that, putting them on. And every time she puts a sticker on something and puts it down, the woman just picks it up, puts it in the trolley. And I thought, cheeky bastard. You know what I mean? Our baby stood there, and I was like, what the fuck? And I've picked up like a chocolate gatto thing, and the woman's turned to me and went, that goes out tomorrow, love. And I went, yeah, I'll eat that tonight. Yeah. And she went, I'll put one of the stickers on it because that's what it's going to get a sticker on it anyway. Yeah. So I went, all right. So I put it back on the shelf and stood there, and it got onto the little old woman eyeing me cake up. And I thought, nah, not happening. So I said to my baby, stand there. I'm still shopping with my bird and all that. I said to my baby, stand there and get that.
He's cock-blocked the old woman.
So I cock-blocked her properly. Like. Yeah. So I've put our baby there. But lad, she tried to cock-block our baby. Lad, it was heavy. There was nearly a big fight between this little old woman and our baby. Our baby's only 10. Our baby's grabbed it. The woman's put the sticker on, and the woman's grabbed it. And the woman who works there turned around and went, oh no, love. And she went, and our baby's just gone wham and grabbed her off her. Come running down the aisle to me. I was in stitches. But I thought, wow. Listen, the trolley must have had 15 cakes in it.
Yeah.
All like, not big cakes, like egg custards and the store. And I thought, you're not really going to eat all that. You know what I mean?
Horrible aren't the old people.
Fucking hell.
You just stick to your tea and your fucking biscuits.
Don't be like that, but I just thought, fucking
this old woman nearly fucking elbowed and thought she was on WWE SmackDown Monday night. Trying to fight.
Stuff. Yeah. Oh, it's heavy, innit? Like.
Listen, there was like, if you've seen The Walking Dead, it was like they were like zombies all around this woman. She must have felt like a celebrity. Each time the sticker went out, she was like, whoa, getting in touch. Like, I only want a fucking sandwich. Move out the way.
It's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah. There you go. That's what happens when you do the whoop shit. Back to the questions. Health as well said, can you use fish meal in cocoa? You can, but there's no benefit to it. You want to take...
So that's a no.
Yeah.
That's a no.
You want to take soil. If you're going to use fish meal...
No. Yeah, you can do that, but there's absolutely no benefit to it. It's a no. Don't do it because it's fucking pointless.
Yeah, that's it. If you want to do it, use soil because it can hold on to the nutrients. Yeah. Cocoa's for mineral growers. Tweedledee said hi to all. Matt Harrison said, what is the natural pH levels of the plants in cocoa? I'm feeding 5.5 in veg, and they're running off at 6.6. The runoff is 0.3 EC above the feed EC. Thanks, lads. Thanks for that question. It's like 10 questions in one.
Stephen, speak to him.
Plants pH will naturally rise, so what you put into the plant, the next time that you flush it through, it's going to come off at should come off at a slightly higher pH because plant roots will alter the pH. The runoff is 0.3 EC above the feed that you've put in. 0.3 is nothing at all, yeah. If it's feeding heavily, it'll drop slightly. If it's just taking water, you'll probably notice it goes quite a bit above that. What you've got to think of is, as you feed with, let's say, 2.0 EC, the plant's going to take some of it. Evaporation is going to happen, so that's going to concentrate your salts in the water. So naturally, your EC could tend to, if you've got a hot room, your EC is going to go up in runoff anyway because you're increasing the solution. Indica said, does shortening the light cycle in flower help, and from what week? The last few would replicate outdoors more, but would implementing this early make the flowering cycle shorter. There's no evidence to say that shortening the light cycle lower than 12 hours a day or having 12 hours of darkness, which is where your flowering really comes from, it does anything to the plant. Some people do 24 to 36 hours of darkness before they harvest.
I wouldn't do
that. I've done it, didn't see it.
Where in the world does it go?
I notice.
Dark for 36 hours.
Antarctica.
Yeah, but what plants grow in Antarctica? I mean, let's be realistic now. People
frosted
say,
shrubs.
Yeah, I turn my lights off for 24 hours, and I go, yeah.
Arctic
I turn your
cacti.
lights off for 24 hours, see how you fucking feel.
So aggressive.
What do you mean?
Turn your fucking lights off, mate. But that's how you spoke to the granny in the supermarket, isn't it? You big aggressive bastard. No, I have not seen any good or negative benefits from either. 12 hours all the way through. And then when you chop, don't chop after the lights have been on for a few hours because the plant has then started sucking up. Chop. Harvest. You do the chop. Listen, because one of those establishments where women congregate and take money off the men in order for sexual favours. Mate, it's a brass gaff. Stop trying to be posh yourself. I'll have to correct you.
When you chop it. Chop it down.
Chop it down. Make sure you do it before the lights have been on for a while. Otherwise, there'll be water in the stems and nutrients, which is what you're trying to get rid of. Matt Harrison said, I've watched two people fighting over a reduced lettuce in Tesco. The Tesco worker had to tell them to calm down. Reduced lettuce.
See me, I took the lettuce and threw it right over all the aisles.
T Hipster said, weed is illegal in the UK. Are you aware of that?
No shit, Sherlock.
Well done, mate.
That's why none of us are smoking a joint, mate.
BBMRK said, we're talking about veg. And T Hipster said, openly talking about illegal activities. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Change the channel, mate.
Yeah, we're
so
not
what, I can't talk about it.
Not talking about illegal activities. Let's just go back a few pages. There's full hydroponic installations all around the world growing lettuce. Not talking about. We talked about cannabis. Tom Forrest went around the world to Israel, Italy, Canada, because we're a world global podcast. We have to talk to those countries as well. So he went round to those legal countries, looking at what's going on with cannabis in those countries. If you're in the UK,
we spoke about cannabis that much today.
This has been the least sort of thing. So
block him, Josh.
No, you'll probably stop watching now. But when you listen to a global podcast where most of your subscribers are in the US, then you talk about that sort of stuff. Let's actually show that.
Is it illegal to talk about stuff?
No.
Is it?
You know, there's articles on how to make cocaine.
Fucking hell.
In proper academic literature.
I mean, you can't even talk about something these days.
He said, I hear bullshit. Turn the channel off.
Turn the channel off, lad.
BBMRC said, just because they're Scouse doesn't mean it's illegal.
Yes, Lynn.
So here's one for you anyway, Barry. Nico Hill, the importance of hardening off. Rather than having to spend months reviving half-dead plants, the best solution is to start from your mother stock or seedlings. I thought you liked this article because you are a non-fussy, non-cotton wool type person, aren't you? Kick them out, give them a kick and let them survive. Yeah. But I've got...
Separate the wheat from the strong.
Yeah. What's the wheat from the chaff? That's what we're doing. But I'm a big fan of giving them the best environment possible. Hardening off is needed. It's an absolute crucial technique. You don't want to pansy them all through their lives because they become weak. And if you pansy them all the way through grow, yes, if you did the whole way through and everything was perfect, you'd probably get away with it. But whether you're growing outdoors or indoors, if you have a moment, a day or a week of stress, high temperature, low temperature, whatever, then if you've grown pansies, then they're going to suffer from it. If you've properly hardened off, if you have a week of stress, high humidity, low humidity, high temp, low temp, then they can deal with it because you've built them up for it and they're ready. The thing I wanted to question is, and I don't know the answer, but Nico said something opposite to what I believe, and I was trying to find some sort of scientific literature to back myself up, and I couldn't find it, not in the time I had to look. So what Nico says is that the lower humidity equals more stomata. Higher humidity is less stomata. So that's what he's saying in this article. So the less I did. So he's saying the less humid and the more a plant is transpiring means it will produce more stomata, so they lose even more water. I'm not sure. I'd naturally think if the humidity was high, they're not transpiring as much, so they would need to produce more stomata in able to transpire. If the humidity was low and they were losing a lot of water, then I can't think why the plant would produce more stomata to then potentially lose a lot more water. So that's the point I'd like to pick up on this article. I'm not going to go in depth on it. Everyone knows the importance of hardening off. Treat them mean, keep them keen. I agree with that. And you get them ready for the big wide world. If you literally put them into propagation and then you put them into the big wide world, they're going to suffer. They'll probably take a few days to get their heads around it. If you do it gently and slowly, they'll carry on growing and then naturally become more adaptive. But I need somebody, if there's somebody who's a plant biologist, or if there's anyone listening that knows or can point me in the direction of some evidence, I believe high humidity equals more stomata. Low humidity is less stomata. Nico, in his article, said the opposite. He said thinks low humidity is more stomata. Is less stomata. High humidity is more stomata, yeah. So, and I don't know the answer. It's just that challenge what I believe and like to put it out there. So we'll see what people come back with. Health is red. Said bore off hipster. Listen, that's why I don't get angry, because our little family of people that watch.
People will say what they want to say, mate, and
it's a free world.
It's a free world. So,
but
everyone's got their own views and opinions on what they do. So it is what it is. Just don't need them to comment out of them.
But I think it's funny because I know our little family that watch every week.
What did he say? Do you know cannabis is illegal in this country?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I know. Fuck off.
Fucking shit. We need him on the show. He might teach us more.
Where are we up to? What's your thoughts on guerrilla tomato growing? Never done it before. If I want to grow tomatoes, I will shout loud and proud about it. I will grow them indoors and outdoors. But some people haven't got the space, so they need to do it where there is space. On the allotments, in forests, wherever you've got access to grow plants, grow some plants. Yeah, your roof.
Urban grow.
I would go organic. I would feed it natural inputs. I would try my best. Whatever you can do to grow plants, do it. BBMRC said it was freezing AM 62 last night. Stood for 3 hours, so a bit cold at the moment.
So was the fruit and veg wagon behind you.
Yeah. Do you recommend best outdoor newts for UK?
If you ask me for outdoor newts, I will go with GHE,
Would you?
probably.
Just because it's a 3-part, dead
Just
easy.
because the 3-part, dead easy, works wonders. I
If you-
probably would.
If you wanted to put
But
time and effort in, I'd just go with organic amendments.
probably might have a little go bio CANNA or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you've got GHE, mineral. You'll grow quick plants. It's done outdoors, not much messing about. The other end of the scale is you can mix into the soil all your organic amendments, what you're talking about, your fish and blood and bone meal, ascophylum, the dose, some seaweed, whatever. In the middle, you've got bio CANNA, organic, liquid feed, done for you. A few little options there for you, bud. And BBMRC said, "Deckham, lad, you're doing a fantastic job." Thank you very much. Nice one. It's not often we get haggled, though, is it? So it makes like...
Oh, that don't even talk
it's
about it.
it's a refreshing. It's a refreshing change. Where are we up to now? Rich Hamilton, the Mycelium Network magic mushrooms. How can we use and benefit from mushrooms? These are your favourite thing, mushrooms, aren't they? You love. If anyone sees Barry or AutoPot or Spanibus, get them breakfast. Add extra mushrooms, and what else? Cucumber, mushrooms and cucumber sandwich for
mate, I
Barry.
don't know how people eat mushrooms. Like, they are the fucking horriblest thing ever.
I like them raw and cooked.
They grow in the dark.
I know.
Oh.
So do other things. And you have a great time with other things like that,
I
don't
grow
you?
in the dark when I'm in bed. I wake up 2 inches tall.
Mushrooms
like,
and cucumbers. So Rich Hamilton's done a good article here. He talks about eating mushrooms, how they grow, but mostly about the fact that they are a fungi, and the mushroom is basically the fruit of the fungi. And it's a good article because it talks about how fungi works in the forests, how plants communicate with each other through the fungal networks, or through the hypha, and there's lots of big words used in this one. And the largest living organism in the world today is a honey fungus, measures 2.4 miles in the Blue Mountains of Oregon.
I've heard about that.
Yeah. So that's like a catch it out question. What is the largest living organism? Most people would say blue whale. It's actually a fungus, honey fungus. It's really interesting because there's a lot of applications for mushrooms, eating them, using them for burger meat. Like, how would you feel? Like, is this something I could do to you?
The shit I did the fan.
Pass you a burger. I'd taste it first because I'd obviously want to catch it out. I'd be like, nah, that tastes of pure mushrooms. He's going to punch me head in. If I ate it and was like, you know what? That tastes like a proper burger. And I went, yeah, but you've got you the burger. You nailed it. And you're like, lovely that, lad. Nice one. What did you do if it turned around and went, that was mushrooms?
I did too.
Would you really?
Yeah, I ate them. Like,
is that like the same as
I don't
spiking?
like looking at them. They make me high.
But what if you ate it and thought it was a burger? Would you really be pissed? Yeah. Would you be like, fuck me? He's right.
I probably wouldn't, like, but I just can't eat. Ugh.
A good article, and it's definitely worth read. Gives a good overview of fungi. This article is Behaviours, the Waggle Dance by Martina Kroll. Martina does really good articles on bees. She's a beekeeper. This one was only quite a short one, but dead interesting. She's written something here. I thought I'd highlighted it, but did you know that bees? So she's got a hive, and traditional bee knowledge from beekeepers says that if you ever move a hive, never move it more than, I think it's 3 meters away from the original spot, otherwise it'll fuck them, they'll die. She thought, I've done all that, it worked fine, I'm going to move it 4 meters away. So she moved it 4 meters away, and they were all fine. But what she noticed is when she went back to the hive and they'd all settled, the worker bees had come out and were doing like this waggle dance. So she's looked up, what is it that they're doing? And what they're doing is they're releasing a pheromone out their butts, and the pheromone says to all the other bees that were out when they moved house to say, listen, we've moved and you need to follow the scent to come back to us. So that's what they're doing when they're doing a little waggle dance. And then, but they use this dance for all other things as well. So the bee workers will go out, find the food, come back to the hive, and we'll do a dance. But do a certain dance to say the food's over there and it's 10 meters away. They'll do another dance to say it's there and it's 40 meters away, or another dance again to say it's over there but it's a pure mish. Get over there now.
Shut up.
Yeah. So they dance and release pheromones, and they calculate it with where the sun is to where the food is. The fucking heavy creatures, like.
Clever, lad.
Yeah. So good article. And if you want to read all of Martina Kroll's blogs, go to gcmag.co and you can have a proper read through them. They are, it might sound boring, but when you get into the article and you realise what they do and how they do it, proper interesting. Anne Gibson said in her article, Seed Saving, Part 4, Storing Seeds Correctly and Testing Viability. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages long. It's genuinely a good article for people that are interested in seeds, growing from seeds, saving your own seeds. It's definitely worth a read. I want to sum it up by saying, store them in the dark, keep them somewhere cool, low humidity, and they can last, depending on the seed, between 3 to 10 years.
Have you seen that? The world's biggest seed vault?
Yeah. Is it in the UK?
No.
There's one in the UK.
Is there?
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one's
Massive.
in like a mountain.
Yeah.
It's got a vault in a mountain, and it's for
Doomsday.
Yeah, that's what it's basically
Yeah.
for, doomsday. If anything ever happened to the world, we've got every seed.
Yeah, every plant, every food.
Plant, yeah, every food. Like,
we can start again.
We can start again.
Good little tip there at the end. So people who save seeds, this is mostly from crops that have produce a lot of seeds. If you collected 100 and you've stored them for 3 years, rather than trying to pop all of them, and so what people do is in these vaults they've got like 10,000 seeds, and rather than having to pop them all and see if they're still viable, they'll take a selection of 100, put them into the wet paper tissue method. So wet paper tissue, soak the seeds, paper tissue on top, and wait 10 days to see if they pop. If the majority of them pop, they're all still active, they're still ready to pop, and that's how you can do that. So good top tip.
That's what I can't even make the name of it out. What's the name of it called?
Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Svalbard is in Norway.
Is it?
I think so, yeah. I'm sure somebody will correct me if it's not. But good article. Anne Gibson's next article is Garden Strategies to Cope with Drought. I think Anne's from Australia, having a real tough time of it at the moment over there because of the fires, the lack of rain. Agriculture is really suffering. The forestry and animals are being killed. I haven't had an update from Australia for a good few weeks, and there's not been much on the news. So I know we've got a lot of subscribers in Australia. I'd love it if you could message me on Instagram at NPK Live and just let me know what's going on. If they died down, what's going on in Australia at the moment. So it'd be great to hear from you, and I hope everyone's okay in Australia as well. But Anne is talking about water management practices. If you are in a country that lacks water, you need to think about what's going on in your environment and how to save your water. Practice thoughtful observations. So essentially, to put this all into a nutshell, if this is something that interests you, you need to go and read the article properly. But she says, go outside, look at when there is rainfall, look at where the rain starts, where it gathers, where it falls. And if you need to save water, just go and look at how the water's entering your property and look at collection points on when it does rain, how you can save it and do the best with it. So good article. And it's fortunately, it's the opposite we have to deal with. In the UK, we're dealing with major flooding. So we need flooding strategies. What happens when you've got too much water? Yeah. But yeah, definitely worth a read. Next article is by Callie Seaman. Now, even me, I am not going to read this article.
Don't.
I am not.
I can just see biology.
Look at that. The PCR polymerase chain reaction. Like literally,
anxiety.
Barry would literally fall asleep if I went through this one.
Take headphones off and just walk away.
Discovering the genetic potential of your plant's molecular plant biology by Callie Seaman. Phenomenal article. Phenomenal. But it's not for the majority of people because it's very heavy on. There's a glossary at the back. That's how you know shit's gone fucking sideways. There's a glossary.
What's a glossary?
A section where you say what the name is and the definition of it. So the first one is bases, which is the most basic building blocks of DNA made up of guanine, cytosine, adenine, and thymine uracil. Yeah. So the article's really good for people who are into the genetics, though. So people who are after phenotypes. Do you want to know if your plant is male, female, if that's the type of plants that you grow? This type of understanding of molecular plant biology and doing the testing can see if your plant's male or female within the first week of veg. You can see if it's susceptible to botrytis, powdery mildew. This is next level shit. It's what happens in the commercial facilities all around the world. If you want a little bit of an understanding, it's a fantastic article. So thank you very much for Callie for stepping up the science in the garden culture. Where are we up to? Rich Hamilton, because we're feeding the city, waggle dance. Oh yeah, last two. Growing good for the mind, Rich Hamilton. How plants affect us in different ways and how we can use them to our benefit. So quite interesting, this one. He's saying that researchers have found that when you garden, you have a considerable drop in blood pressure, so it helps relieve anxiety and other stress.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Symptoms. Mood boosting sense. When you work with plants, the natural sense that they give off. One, the toxin absorbent plants in general. Air purifying capabilities of many plants benefit the bodies. Things like chamomile, the chamomile plant contains the antioxidant apigenin, which binds to receptors in the brain and helps reduce insomnia. That's where the chamomile tea comes from. And smelling jasmine and lavender can lower anxiety and stress and promote well-being. Colour therapy. Green is a phenomenal colour just for putting a person at ease. And essentially the nutshell of the article is garden. If you are feeling stressed or you've had a hard day, getting into the garden can help massively. Just take that anxiety away. And other than gardening, obviously this is a hydroponics podcast, but other than gardening, something that if your job is to be a gardener, or that's what's caused your stress for some reason, your tomatoes have all failed and that's your stress, there's a big thing. So I think just on sort of mental health and well-being, if you've had a shit day, there's a bit of a negative stigma with playing video games, for example. But you know what's good about video games? If you don't overdo it, and it's like a couple of hours of a night, when you concentrate on something so soulfully, you forget about what's going on in the day. You can forget your stresses. That's the same with gardening. You've got to give it a lot of care and attention, and you're focusing on your plants, and everything else has got to go to the back of your mind. So whether it's gardening, whether it's reading, playing video games, going to the pub for a pint, whatever it is, I think every single person needs that little one thing. Most people call that a hobby. So everyone needs a hobby just to focus the brain away from what's going on in the day and unwind. Barry touches metal on cars and puts Brembo brakes on. Can't even say Brembo brakes. Look, if you rewind this podcast and if you watch live, you'll see two times when Barry has a big smile on his face. One, when he talked about being in the cake aisle. And two, when we talk about Brembo brakes. Look at that smile on his face. Great.
Makes me out to be some kind of monster.
Gardening is so good for the brain, it may even lower the risk of dementia, which is very personal to me as well, because my nan had dementia. It's a very sad disease. So anything we can do to slow it down or prevent it, phenomenal. Last, but by no means least, the sound in the silence. Tom Wall, a.k.a. Cosmic Knot. Barry.
What does that mean?
Do plants have a conscience? Or are they conscious, I should say? Like, do they have a conscience? They fucking shaded another plant and felt bad about it.
Of what's going on around?
Yeah.
I'd say
Are they sentient beings?
I'd say yeah.
There's research to
I'd say yeah, because there's certain plants that you can touch and the leaves close up dead quick to protect themselves. So obviously that plant knows.
Yeah, that could be. Some people say that's just a nerve reaction. That's just like a.
What about the ones that eat the flies? Venus
flytraps. That's again
catching food.
Yeah. That's like again. The naysayers will say, well, that's just a chemical reaction within the plant that as those bristles are touched, it triggers something in the plant to flood it with. I don't even know how Venus flytraps work, to be honest, but it'll be flooded with something. The cells will tighten up and it'll push itself close. But there's actual research has been done.
I'd say it does.
Where, you know that plant that you're talking about? When you touch it, it all closes up. Well, they've actually injected plants with what they inject to humans to put us to sleep. And then when they touch the plant, it didn't do anything. So it's like it's blocking the chemical pathways for that to do it. They've got research here that when it's quite...
If you
mad.
carry on about that, mate, the vegans are going to stop being vegans. What will you eat then?
Listen,
You know,
it's
your plant's
legit.
got a name, a conscience, and a family behind it, and the next pot behind. And, oof.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There's an idea that plants are conscious.
Silent plant screen.
People have administered anesthesia to plants, put them into an actual state of sleep. And people have also developed machines that can allow plants to make music. I've never seen this. I'm definitely going to YouTube it. The plant music machine consists of 2 electrodes and a converter box. One wire is attached to the leaf. The other one's attached to the roots or the base of the plant. And once connected, the plants begin to emit sound through the machine. The gadget measures the electronic impulses of the plant and converts them into a MIDI signal. The effect can be quite different from plant to plant and can be quite beautiful as the music flows in patterns humans aren't used to hearing. Furthermore, when the music is played to the connected plant, it adapts to the patterns and begins to play along. So it changes when it hears the music. If the plant is disturbed too much, it stops playing music, and once it's comfortable again, the tunes restart. So I do believe that there's something definitely in plants. Like when you look at plants as a holistic system, plants, fungi, bacteria sort of on top of it, but especially the fungi connected to the plants. There's a lot of shit going on that we don't understand. We know more about space than we do about the bottom of the ocean. And I think there's a lot that we need to do in plants or learn about plants to fully understand them. Are you looking at rally videos? What's the smile on your face for?
I'm looking at plant music.
Play some. See if you can play some. So that was the article by Tom Wall, Cosmic Knot, and a good article. And then towards the back of the magazine was Organic Garden for Everyone, the book, and who's grown what where. Good to know what people are doing up and down the country in the UK. Oh, there was Nico Hill did Korean natural farming, seed soak tea. What's this? See if you can get to it. I'll read some of the comments.
That's it.
So there, I could hear like the note keeps going up and up and up. Oh, that's interesting. And then it dropped down into the bass register. And the idea with that is like the electricity from my skin is sort of overriding the circuit. But it's cool to do that just so you can get a sense of like...
Plants play music. That's sick, that really, isn't it?
It's just the current.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
It's interesting, though. Where are you up to?
I hope I've got feelings and conscious.
BBMRC said, fantastic chat, guys. See you all next time. Nice product, Bioponic Flush. Big thanks to NPK Liverpool. You're all welcome. Thank you for the love every week. And that was a garden culture review, superfoods for plants. If you have any thoughts or comments on what I've said, agree or disagree, or if you... The one I'm really interested in is humidity versus low humidity. Yeah. Does it produce more stomata or less stomata?
I've always thought like the same as you. So
yeah.
For it to be a proper article out there is like, wow, am I wrong?
Yeah. So I'd love to find out. That's it for podcast. I said 205 before. It's actually 206. A big fucking screen behind me saying episode 206. And are you still enjoying the Thursdays? Are you still enjoying the Thursdays at 4 o'clock? There's 13 to 15 people watching this week. Thank you as always for tuning in. Follow us at NPK Live on Instagram. And we will see you all next week for podcast 207.
Let's have a game of what's the name again, lad?
I'll tell you what it is next week.
Let's have another game. What was that game we played?
Top Trumps.
Let's have a game of Top Trumps.
Oh, we'll get to that. We need proper planning and preparation so that I don't look like a dickhead.
Kick it head in again.
That's why I need plenty of time.
5 now.
Somebody even gave me shit on Instagram saying my daughter knows how to play that game. Come on, stay. I was like, oh, bastard. So next week's episode 207. What's new? What's poo? I like these ones.
You can do the new, I'll do the poo.
Sounds. Barry's back to terrorise. Right, thank you very much.
Yeah,
that is it. Me, Steve, and Barry.
Barry.
And we'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye-bye.